Don't get so particular with your particulars. Okay.
Oftentimes.
Oh, see? This is the thing about having 2 tabs and not 2 windows. I can't tell what's happening if I'm on the other tab. Do you understand, muchacho? Hey, everybody.
Bueno, everybody. Howdy. And welcome to the Word 128. So, as you can see, I'm reading today with this lady from Canada.
When sound out your consonants and you'll get through it.
Gun. You said consonants.
Okay. Well, it'll help you get through the name. You don't stop at the vowel.
So today,
okay.
If you don't have a Bible, you can read there on King James Bible Online. You can go to blueletterbible.org. There's multiple translations. esword.net, multiple translations. Remember, this is a study series of the Word, putting the lamp out, insight for all to see and guide in the darkness. All who are seeking their Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through the confession of Jesus Christ, that is, are welcome. So don't shun people away. Let's keep it to the study, eh? And the invitation's still open if you guys want to talk about some off study subject.
Off the cuff. Don't want to take that one. I guess you need your own, eh?
You do, yes. You need your own. So don't.
I'm making my own.
Channels. Today we're starting in Daniel 3, going to 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then Gwen will read the rest of it. No, I'm just kidding. That's where we're stopping today. Gun. Okay.
Gun.
All right.
Okay, hurry up.
Let's go ahead and pray in. Pray in. Hello, Father. Thank you very much for giving us your word to study. And we know it's the joy of kings, the treasure of kings, to search out a matter. And you have certainly revealed a lot hidden to us here. And we're very grateful for that. And would ask for you to pour out your spirit of knowledge onto everybody and understanding onto everybody that's here now or in the future, so that we can do this. Thank you for the blessings, and we want to bless you with being your children and feeding those who are starving for the bread of life. In Jesus Yeshua's name. Thank you. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So Daniel chapter 3. Did you want to start? Since you're already on chapter 4?
No, because I have it on 3. So carry on. Age before beauty. Oh, you turd. Okay, here we go. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent together the princes and the governors and the captains and the judges and the treasurers and the counselors and the sheriffs and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes and the governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto dedicating of the image of Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then, oh, this reading is funny. Then a herald cried aloud to you, it's commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at which time thee are the sound of the court, flute, harp, sackbut, palestree, dulcimer, and all kinds of music. Ye are fallen down and worship of the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And who hath fallen not down and worshipped, shall the same hour be thou cast in the midst of the burning burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, sackbut, palastrate, and all the kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and language fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, that at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spoke and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, palastrate, and dulcimer, and all the kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth, that he should be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews who thou hast set our affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They sure not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Doeth not you serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, palastrate, and the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast into the same hour, into the midst of the fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we shall not serve thy gods or worship thy golden image, which thou hast set up. Verse 19. And then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat up the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heat. He commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their garments, and other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound, into the midst of the fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. 26. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, captains, kings, counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair on their heads singed. Neither were their coats changed, nor did they smell of fire had passed on them. The smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make a decree that every people, nation, and language would speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon.
Daniel 4. Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream, which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But at the last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. Thus were the visions of mine head in my bed. I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and an holy one came down from heaven. Verse 14. He cried aloud and said thus, Hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field. And let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts in the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof. For as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonied for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reacheth unto heaven, in thy dominion to the end of the earth. 23. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my lord the king, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven. And 7 times shall pass over thee till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee, after that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thy iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, and if it be a lengthening of thy tranquility, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O king Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. 33. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting kingdom, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What doest thou? At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom mine honor and my brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom. And excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment. and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.
Okay, chapter 5. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whiles he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden cellular vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, wives, and concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, iron, wood, and stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote on against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled, so that the joints of his loins were loosened, and his knees smote against each other. The king cried aloud to bring the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spoke and said to the wise men of Babylon, "Whoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold around about his neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom." Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was the king Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astoned. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came to the banquet house. And the queen spoke and said, "O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father light and understanding, wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers." Verse 12. "For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts, were fond of the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation." Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spoke and said unto Daniel, "Art thou that Daniel, which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king, my father, brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show me the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee, that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shalt be the third ruler of the kingdom." Then Daniel answered and said before the king, "Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. Thou, O king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, a majesty, and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all peoples, nations, languages trembled and fear before him. Whom he would slew, and whom he would, he kept alive, and whom he would, he set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thy heart, though thou knewest all this. Verse 23. But hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives and concubines have drunk wine in them, and thou hast praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass and iron, wood and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is written that was written. Mene, mene, tekel, Vapharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar the king of Chaldeans slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
Daniel chapter 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and the windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Verse 12. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, This thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, That Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him, and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king establisheth may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Verse 23. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel. And they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and brake all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever in his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Chapter 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and the visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spoke and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse of one another, one form another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man. and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth, of between its teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong and exceedingly, and it had a great yarn teeth. It devoured and brake into pieces, and stamped the residue of the feet of it, and it was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them a little horn, before whom there were 3 of them first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. The fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. And concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. 13. And I saw in night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and I asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the 4 beasts, which was diverse from all the others. The 4th beast, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, braked in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even that of that horn that had eyes, and the mouth which spoke very great things, whose look like was stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and the other shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue the 3 kings. 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times, laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the divided of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. The kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of this matter. As for me, Daniel, my cognitions troubled me, my conditions trouble me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart.
Well done.
Next time I'll make sure I have my Bible.
I noticed you're wearing your glasses. Weren't you supposed to be having contacts by now?
My contacts don't allow me to see as good with my glasses because they can't get my prescription as strong as my actual glasses. So I'm nervous to read on live with just my contacts. I haven't done that yet.
Anyways, let's go back to chapter Trace.
All right.
That's when you started reading.
Yes, because beauty for age is what I said.
You can't change it now. It's recorded.
Oh.
Okay, so Daniel 3, and notice in verse 2, who does he say to call?
Hang on.
Oh, yeah, you can hit the back button too.
Okay, so
at me.
So verse 2, what did you say?
Who is he calling? Nebuchadnezzar is calling people together, but who?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Well, actually, let me rephrase. He's calling all the supposed leaders. He's not calling, people like you and I.
Right?
All the people that can institute, manipulate, change, instill laws, legislation.
Okay. All the power brokers.
All the power peoples, because you control them, you control the masses, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So then 5 and 6 basically is saying, when you hear the music from the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, all kinds of music, fall down and worship the golden image or die in the fiery furnace. I was going to say furnery fyrus, but anyways. So there's the threat laid out. And then there's a whole bunch of people upset that they're not that. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who are other people.
Well, I want to make a little bit of more of a comment on the musical stuff.
Okay. You think it was electric guitars?
I'm thinking that like it's interesting. It's in collaboration with why he's calling all the power, the power brokers, right?
Okay.
And then also using all the musical brokers, all the things that also affect people's response to a decree. So I feel like there's a collaboration there. I feel like that music has a large role to play when it comes to war, when it comes to praise, when it comes to mourning, when it comes to, different things. So because we know that this is a prophetic, these words are a prophetic institution of something that's coming or that's repetitive. I think music is a strong player in all of this for present and future things to pay attention to.
Agreed. So then those guys, Belteshazzar, that's Daniel, Shadrach is Hananiah, Meshach is Mishael, and Abednego is Azariah. They're Hebrew names.
Yeah.
So basically, they're told again, hey, didn't you know you're supposed to worship when all this goes down? And then 17 and 18, they're like, no.
Well, 16. We are not careful to answer thee in this matter.
Yeah, they didn't try to hide it. They didn't try to beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We're not worshiping.
We're not going to keep our mouth shut on this issue.
You know
maybe we'll keep.
Nebuchadnezzar, you know what we think of your golden idol?
But okay, this is interesting. Like, okay, that means that they kept their mouth careful before that, because there's stuff. I'm sure that there's stuff that old Nebi did in his lifetime, and what those leaders of power did in the communities, and they kept their tongue for the right time. So some matters they spoke up, and some matters they just zipped the lip.
Well,
so
it had to be, it's not going to do any good if they speak up because they disagree with the trash ordinance or something.
Well, that and
death. I mean, what is that? What kind of testimony is that?
And there was it's reminding me, I don't know where it is in the new ratings where it talks about don't sound like a clanging cymbal, like wah 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 wah. Everybody's complaining about stuff, and there's no power, there's no testimony. Like what followed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they decided this was not a time to stay silent. What followed that was an excellent testimony.
Yep.
And then from that testimony, it changed the law of the land.
So in 27. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors being gathered together saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. And I wrote down, that's a prophecy fulfilled that was given to Isaiah and Jeremiah. And that, remember, he told them, said, listen, your punishment is being taken captive. But if you keep my laws and ways while you're there, I will protect you. I will ensure that you have food, shelter. I'm going to multiply you. Well, here we have that. They obeyed his laws. and he pulled them out of the fire. It's a fulfillment of that prophecy given to Jeremiah and Isaiah.
I'm trying so hard not to.
I'm sorry, what? Something
I'm trying
about
so.
for breakfast?
I'm trying so hard not to. How would we apply that now?
Do tell us.
Is this a test?
Is it a test?
Ultimately, like when we look at Israel and we see the habitual procrastination, the habitual forgetting, the habitual lack of obedience, and introducing different things to their everyday life, and then we read the reason that happened was because they spoke up when they were supposed to speak up, and like you just said, they did what, like Isaiah and Jeremiah, they listened, they obeyed, they did what that they were supposed to do. Then, like, if you do this, then this. So presently, we don't really have to worry. Like, we're in captivity. Okay. So we don't have to really worry about, for the most part, we don't really have to worry about what's happening. We just need to obey Abba, focus on him, do what we're supposed to do, and learn from history. Learn from it. The end.
Okay. Got anything else for 3?
Nope.
Okay. Let's go to 4. And I was reading, so I didn't get as many notes as you.
You started to sound like a robot, so I didn't understand the thing you said.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the prophesy and fulfillment of Nebuchadnezzar being told, hey, you think you're this high and mighty dude, that I'm going to knock you down. For 7 years, you're going to live as a beast in the field until you realize that whom I, Yah, put in control of the world of men is whom I put in control of the world of men. It's nothing to do with you.
Can we flip that to, okay, it's 7 years, right? Can we flip that to, he's speaking to the leader. He's speaking to the head of the kingdom.
Speaking to the arrogant king.
Right. So how about if we flip that, speaking to the arrogant people who believe they're following Abba? Maybe he wants us to really understand who's really in charge.
Right.
Who's really in charge of what's happening.
Right. That makes sense. So, what was on here?
I'm using restraint.
I have to look through it because I didn't write down as well as I should have while I was reading. I know.
And here I'm using all this restraint.
Right. Well, I mean, if this is kind of unique in prophetic books, in that in one chapter we have the prophecy, and then we have the fulfillment, and then we have Nebuchadnezzar saying, hey, I was knocked down. Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong chapter. Thank you, Gwen.
That's the next one, yeah.
It is the next one.
Here's the warning. Here comes the warning, right? Because Abba's so good at warning.
Wait. Let's go back because we skipped 4 altogether.
Verse 4?
Chapter 4.
Oh, we're still, I'm still in chapter 4. Mm-hmm.
You never went to chapter 4.
I'm still there.
This is Belshazzar, right?
Yeah, Belteshazzar.
No. Belteshazzar is Daniel, right?
Oh, the warning for Nebuchadnezzar. Yes. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. So this is right. You're confusing me though.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting. He had to be abased. He had to be brought down from this position where he thought he was something special, right?
Well,
Thought he
that it
was,
was him that was doing it, that the
thought it was him that
prosperity
was,
was coming.
but how he got humbled, how? He got put with all the beasts, right?
But there was something there at the same time, there was something before that. Verse 14.
Okay.
He cried aloud and said thus, he hewn down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it and the fowls from his branches. Like, it wasn't just him being humbled and that he had to, eat with the beasts and all of these things. It was that whatever you thought you did, let me crush it. Let me annihilate it. Let me cut it off and scatter it out and just make a big mess out of it to show you that.
Okay. But here's my point. When he humbled him, he put him with the beasts of the field, right? Until he was eating grass like an ox.
So he was humbled.
How did Yeshua come into the world?
In a totally humble posture.
He came in among the beasts. He came in
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
in a manger, right? In a
Sure.
stable. So I find
Okay.
that interesting because Nebuchadnezzar was probably born into some kind of a royalty, right?
Sure.
Into some kind of,
Yeah. My papa was this, and my grandpapa was this.
yeah,
But it also says he gave him a heart like a beast.
yeah. And what is that?
Exactly.
Right? They don't question anything. They're just like, they don't sit there and say, oh, I have to build this mighty kingdom. They just say, hey, there's some grass to eat. Or, hey, look at this has already been provided for us. Here's some grass to eat. Here's some shelter.
You know what? Imagine the amount of, okay, so the first 3.5 years of the 7 years of this judgment, he's like fighting it. He's arrogant. He's stubborn. He's all of these things. And in the last 3.5 years, and I'm just whatever throwing silliness out there, but the last 3.5 of his years of his sentence, it's almost like when you go on a vacation, right? The first few days, like you need to go for a week because the first few days you can't actually relax. You can't actually settle.
Right?
It takes time. So I think like the first half was, he had to fight his flesh. And then, because just think about it, when you said like, oh, that's all you have to think about is what's right in front of you, like the grass to eat and the shelter that you need to have and all of these things.
It's like, oh, it's right there. It's almost
right.
Oh, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Well, that and the peace that comes with not concerning yourself with all the nonsense that's out there, what you think is worth your time, what you think is worth your money, what you think is worth, all of this stuff. But the peace that comes, imagine the last part of his life, the level of peace he experienced. Like, he finally got to relax and not fight his flesh anymore, or, he's, crucifying his flesh, killing it completely. And the last little bit left is is now able to go, oh, let's just be thankful for the grass. Let's just be thankful for the dew because I needed some water. Those very things that Abba provides, like in the desert, he wants him to trust him with just the manna and just the water, every day what he provides.
Now it's
Ooh.
interesting too, because it makes him Abba makes him like a beast to bring him down. And yet we're told, in many parables that Yeshua spoke, how he takes care of the beasts, they don't worry about anything.
It was like a vacation. I bet you it was better than it was worse.
A what? Like a what?
Anyways. Like a vacation. Once he finally gave up. When he finally gave up.
Aren't those like those things rich people take or something?
Well, I mean, I take mine every day in my bedroom when I close the door.
Okay. So let's go to chapter 5 since
Let's do that.
Doing the train track off the rails, man.
Oh no, I'm still on the track.
Right, I went there. Casey Jones.
Mm-hmm.
What is that expression right there?
It's called restraint. I'm practicing.
It's called restraint.
Restraint. No, that's not what I was doing.
Okay. I know that's not what you were doing.
Okay, moving on.
Verse 6.
To holy things.
So Belshazzar, right, the prince or the new king, or king number dos, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, right, gets all these vessels that used to be in the temple in Jerusalem, and he's having a party with them. Woohoo! There's so much in that. Anyways, and then in verse 6, verse 5, right? Nothing but fingers come out of thin air and start writing on the wall. And he gets terrified. So much so that his knees are knocking together, right? Remember in like Scooby-Doo when Shaggy would be scared and his knees would be clanking together? Think about that though. What would you do if like some fingers appeared out of thin air and started writing on the wall next to you?
I'd probably fall on my face and try to repent from as much sin as I possibly can fathom.
Okay. Yeah.
You asked.
That.
Like, what did I do? Oh my gosh, I did something. I'm sure of it.
So they called Daniel to
interpret
this writing. Now we're going to have to break out the Strongs. Right?
You, not we, because I'm having window issues. So I'm just going to stay right.
Get your book.
No, I'm underneath my covers in my bed. I'm not getting up.
What? Oh my goodness. Okay.
I had to find my hole and sit here. So.
Daniel Cinco. Okay, so 25, in verse 25.
Holy smokes, okay.
Okay.
Many tekel
this is the writing. Many tekel upharsin. So upharsin is Hebrew word 6537. But then down in
I remember we did this years ago.
28, it doesn't say upharsin, it says Perez.
Perez.
But it's the same word in the Hebrew.
If I had my
so
no, I'm not gonna do it.
Upharsin is some thing that the translators made up. But Peras is, or how it's spelled there, Perez or Paris. They're both the same. Hebrew 6537 corresponding to its Chaldee Hebrew 6536, meaning to split up, right? So, but I don't know why. I don't understand why they do this so often with the translations. It's maddening.
His heart was made like. Hang on a second. There was another. Hang on to your pancakes here.
You know what?
For as much
It's
as
illegal here.
no. Interpreting dreams is doing dental.
What do you guys make pancakes out of in Canada?
What?
What do you guys make pancakes out of?
Whatever we want.
So it doesn't matter, basically, so long as there's butter and maple syrup.
You can use whatever you want. You can make pancakes out of almond flour. Almond flour and coconut. Let's stay focused. Don't derail me. No. Okay.
Oh, now it's my fault. You get derailed. Okay.
Okay. I think Jane's showing a part. Okay. I'm trying to find something that stuck out to me for the first time. Just like this big.
In the next chapter.
5 and 6. Maybe it's in. Oh.
Okay, we'll look at 6.
Yeah, maybe we'll, because it's.
Dun dun dun. So chapter 6, capítulo 6.
What?
Exactly. So basically, the whole chapter is they set a trap to get Daniel suckered into not worshiping his God.
Okay. Oh, I'm not going to go off track too much, but I'm just, because this is Daniel and I'm following Daniel's character, right? Like, yes, you have these principles of what's happening to Nebuchadnezzar and all of these things, but just to get a magnifying glass a little bit more onto Daniel. Like, have you read Bella and the Dragon yet?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No. Susanna.
I have read it, yes, but
okay, not
these readings.
Okay, sorry, but not Belle and the Dragon, but Susanna.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you getting ready to like give the whole plot twist away here by telling everybody what Susanna's about?
No.
Okay. Continue.
I want to speak about Daniel. Come on. Okay. Either way. Here you have Daniel. I'm trying to mirror this with us, right? Like, as we go through trials and tribulations and we have our ups and downs and we believe we're doing everything correctly. We're doing it Abba's way. We're on our knees praying like Daniel is praying on your knees like Daniel is praying, giving excellent counsel to the leaders. We're being chosen to be all of this stuff. But all of these things happened to Daniel that were quite intense, right? But he's just speaking of Daniel's character and the longevity of his commitment to Abba. I think also needs to be highlighted in all of this stuff. Okay. You know, I think it's important that we look at that so that we can try to mirror some of it.
Noted.
Okay.
So. How about this, though? Again, Daniel refuses to seek counsel of men over Yah.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's why they suckered him into, well, they didn't sucker him, they set this trap for him to get thrown into the lion's den. And then he gets thrown into the lion's den and their mouths get shut up. Now, I would imagine they kind of keep these lions in a state of hunger.
To make it a show.
Yeah. Hey, this person irritated me. Let's go throw him in the lion's den. Right? Kind of like Bugs Bunny when Yosemite Sam gets thrown in the lion's den.
Okay. I can't find that one that was like, oh, hey.
Well, keep looking. But then notice for the punishment, not only did they cast those men which had accused Daniel into the lion's den, but their children and their wives.
Come again?
So the people that made the accusations against Daniel said, hey, he's praying to his God, and he's supposed to be coming to you for advice. You're trying to make everybody seasick. Stop it.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, I'm on my other page. I can't tell what I'm doing.
Oh,
I'm sorry. It's
okay.
all right.
If anybody throws up on their computer,
Sorry. Sorry.
I'll go in.
Don't on the mouth of the
International Tribunal against Canada. So anyways, so these men that brought the false accusations, they weren't the only ones punished, but they took them and their wives and their children and threw them all into the lion's den, right? So think about that. It's like if your husband messed up and they came and got you and your children and threw you all in the big giant paper shredder.
You know, I've been watching some of these
mysteries.
Korean shows.
Oh dear. Okay.
And don't worry, I'm not going to go too far. Just like the cultural differences are phenomenal, right? The way they choose to communicate inside the family structure, how they like it in the context of honor, in the context of the family name, of how one person behaves affects the whole. Oh, that was it. Like how one person's actions, even words, even like association, like you are associated with this person, so now the whole family can be dishonored just like that. And how that is definitely lacking in our culture, in our mentality. How one of us, you and I, let's say, God forbid, but ultimately, hello, I mean, we need to step up to the plate, Gwen. He chooses you or I to be the representative.
Okay.
Imagine. I'd probably swear a lot less, but
you mean
but
like calling your co-readers turds at the beginning?
What? I don't remember what you're talking about.
Okay, whatever.
But yeah, just representing, like, you know, Daniel representing, and we're representing not just our immediate family, but we're representing the kingdom family. And so how we barf out all of our opinions, thoughts, and ideas and judgments brings direct attention to the kingdom. So anyway.
What I think Paul says? Paul or Peter? Paul, 2 Corinthians 5:20. Now then, well, let's start at 19. To wit, that God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespasses unto them, and hath committed unto us the word of reconciliation. 20. Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God. 21, for he hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him.
Oh, the accountability of the word is just awful. I mean good. But what about the other one that talks about, the other one that I hate, is when people point the finger at you and want to accuse you that they can't bring any accusation against you.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay. Anyways, go ahead.
That's not this kind of show. But
You're awfully fidgety.
I am, because it's terrible.
Okay, chapter 7. So this is Daniel's dreams of the beasts, right? Some animal beasts, these kingdoms. And he's given the likeness of them, except for the last one is very terrible.
Oh,
So
I wish I knew you
Daniel's-
were reading Daniel this morning. I should have asked.
I know, because it's hard to keep track of, really.
It just deserves more time, this kind of book.
Here's the thing, though. As we read this, what we're trying to do is get everybody established with the same knowledge base. That's why we're burning through it so fast. And then when we go through it again, everybody will have all these jigsaw puzzle pieces that we can put together and say,
Okay.
oh, wow!
Okay.
Everybody can pull a Gwen.
I want to. No!
Yes.
I want my own platform to belt out. Okay, wait.
Everybody can pull a Canadia.
Okay, yes. Now, at the beginning of chapter 7, which was really interesting, hang on a second. The first, verse 4. We talk about all the other ones, right?
Okay.
The first was like a lion,
The first of the
And-
4. Okay.
had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Okay. Very good.
No. Oh, okay.
Okay.
There's just,
So then the next beast
there's so much in that one. What's happening?
is a bear, right? And see, this is why I wanted to do these series too, because people twist this stuff to fit their modern belief system. They say lion, oh, well, a lion, that's Judah. Or they say lion, that is the royal family of England, or whatever else they'd kind of come up with, right? Instead of looking at it, what it's actually saying there. So we got the first one, the lion, and then we're followed by a bear. The bear.
And then the leopard.
And then the leopard. Okay. And that one, historically, people consider that to be Greece. Right?
And then the fourth doesn't have a name.
It's not like any animal, right? It's terrible.
And it doesn't have a name.
Doesn't have any name. None. What does that mean?
I'm not, stop pausing. Those long moments of silence kill me.
I'm waiting for you to go click. Okay. So this is fascinating, though.
It is.
I consider this dreadful beast to be Rome. And I consider it to be also the beast that gets the deadly wound, but then is healed and comes back. I consider that to be what we're living in now, especially south of your southern border. I believe that that is the healed Rome. So look at our series, The Republic. I'm not good at self-promotion. I'm really not. That's why
Look at his series on.
that's why my restaurants failed. You know what? We should call this place Taco Piano. No, nobody likes it. Okay.
Okay. Verse 12.
Wait, you skipped verse 9. That's so beautiful. All those thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him. 1,000,000 ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. 10,000 times 10,000.
Oh, I'm trying not to fall into the time trap.
Don't fall
Oh my
into the time
gosh.
trap.
Because 9 and 12. I can't take
Okay,
my
so
eyeballs out.
that would be
9 and 12.
100 billion. 100 billion.
What?
10,000, 10,000.
Oh,
100
okay.
billion.
So I know that when you are writing out the sequence in order, I know that it's back and forth just a little.
Yes.
But sometimes, if you just try to keep it where it's at, not all the time, just sometimes. Verse 12.
Okay.
As concerning the rest of the beasts. What beasts? They had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. Now, yes, you have rulers, right? But it says the rest of the beasts.
Okay. And here the beasts are
the eagle thing, the bear, and the leopard, and the great and terrible thing. Okay.
They are kings and kingdoms, right?
Right. So it's like, okay, fair enough. Sometimes I want to just dabble in the literal, the literal part of scripture, just to dabble there for a little bit, because I feel like for me, it's always safer to keep the door cracked open when trying to interpret prophetic words, right? So kind of the posture that I take mentally when I'm reading these things is I leave room for literal translation, just so that it keeps me like pushing to try to find more clarity. If I just take it, if I can figure it out, then I know that I haven't figured it out. So when I read these scriptures that have these fantastical, allegorical, spiritual depictions of things, sometimes I want to take it literally.
Okay, so what are you taking literally right now?
Okay, that there are other beasts, and that in verse 9, okay, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment and all of that other stuff. Okay, a fiery stream, verse 10, issued and came forth from before him, thousands, and so on. The judgment was set and the books were opened. Okay. Then let's just, and I know that this won't necessarily work so much, but let's skip from 10 to 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away. So they had their power taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. Just trying to like paint out that picture of I don't think verse 9 is 100% only happening at the end. Oh gosh, I shouldn't even be talking about this because I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking, but
Okay, get back to us.
I think it's already happened. I think it's already happened. I think that he is already because he's already seated. He is
Because
already
verse
on his
13?
throne.
Is that what you're talking
What?
about? Because of 13 and 14?
Uh,
And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the cloud of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and the kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
yes. Okay. So now I know this is going to mess with a lot of whatever, but that's happened already.
When?
Then.
When is then?
When Yeshua went and ascended, and then he's sitting there. Okay, so I'm the wrong person to talk about this stuff, but I think the dominion, like in verse 9, what does it say? It took away. Wait, not verse. Is it verse? I beheld it through the cast down. Verse 12. Okay, they had their dominion taken away.
Yep.
I think when Yeshua sat on his throne, all the dominions of the earth,
all power and all dominion,
all the dominions of the earth have been taken away, their power. And now whatever's happening is just them being allowed to live for a season.
Interesting. Okay.
I have no proof of what I just said, but that's just what I'm thinking.
Right. So verses 20 and 21, it's the same wording as in Revelation 12 and 13.
Oops, sorry.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom fell three fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints
And prevailed
against them.
How humiliating. If hypothetically my assumption for that all of the kingdoms have been, like the dominion has been taken away, and we're just now existing for a season.
Right.
That whoever and whatever this horn is prevailing against us, and they're not even in control. They don't even have dominion, and they're prevailing against us.
Revelation 13:7, and it was given unto him, the beast, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Yep.
So it's interesting, though. Is power the same as dominion?
No, it's not. Because I have power in my house and I have dominion, but sometimes I don't have power, but I still have dominion.
Okay. What else?
Oh, this is just slicing up my soul.
Okay. So let's let everybody eat dinner and enjoy time with their family and contemplatable this. Be this contemplatable. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Gwen, for reading most of the chapters today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your maple-laden insight.
That's very sweet of you.
Okay.
Okay, the end.
Okay. Love you, everybody. We'll talk to you very, very soon.
Duh.
If Matt was here, what would he say?
Huh? like, subscribe, ding the notification bell.
Love you all. Bye. Keep waving, Gwen.